Hello, Guardians. Welcome back to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Deering, and alongside me, as always, is my neon pink runner, Josh Finney.
I don't know about neon pink, but I mean, listen, I might be buying those Gone Fishing Lucas in a couple of weeks, so I will be neon pink then.
Yeah, see, you'll be good to go.
Friend of the show, Ray Apollo, texted me in all caps about 45 minutes ago and was like, "You'll never believe who's in my lobby in Memphis." And I was like, "Who?" He goes, "The Mavs are staying at the hotel I'm at for Twitch's St. Jude event."
Oh, nice.
And I was like, "Yeah, I'd care more if they weren't hot ass right now."
So
I'd care more if there was a chunky Slovenian there or a flat earther. Alas, he said he yelled in the lobby, nobody cares, we want Luca. And I was like, God, I'm just so proud of you. So proud of you. You channeled me. You channeled me so much.
Yeah.
He's like, then Anthony Davis looked my way and I just felt like I needed to be quiet. It's like, yeah, I probably would too. Considering he told fans in Sacramento last night, y'all might want to leave so you can avoid the traffic when they were up 25 on them in the fourth. Yeah. It's bad. It's bad. It's bad times. I gotta be happy about this, Corey, begrudgingly. So,
yeah. Well,
it has been a week.
It's been
a very busy week for both of us.
Yeah, dude. Today
in good ways.
Yeah,
at least for me.
Yeah, sure. I just today was the first day I left work before 6:30. In like probably 2 months, and I go in at 8. But yeah, it's been busy. Also, like a lot of Nintendo stuff going on for my Nintendo podcast. So
we are
busy
behind the scenes. We are gearing up for Switch 2. We're about 6 weeks out and still panicking over pre-orders.
Yeah, all you Europeans who already got yours in. You suck.
I'll be honest, knowing that Mario Kart is the one launch title is making me not panic as much on that front. If there was
what do you mean? There's Drag X Drive and Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, Josh.
I hate you so much. If there was a 3D Mario or like Splatoon 4 or even Donkey Kong like attached to it, I would be much more, I have to have this right away. Instead, it's more of, I want to get this so I don't have to kill myself multiple times later in the year trying to hit a restock and like 2 a.m.
Yeah, it's not even that either. It's the
it's going to go up in price.
It's the fact that this is the cheapest it's probably going to be because
ever.
Well,
for reasons that we have exhaustively gone over on every show under the sun.
Yeah,
including me on this show 2 weeks ago. I definitely did not spend 15 minutes talking about the state of the video game industry and how its impending collapse is approaching.
Definitely didn't hear that.
Definitely did not hear that from my lips to God's ears. But yeah, no, I'm excited. I started putting some plans in place this week to finally join PC Gamers.
Ooh.
Had some extremely fortunate things swing my way, and instead of kind of being like, I'm gonna stash away like $200 or $300 a month here and there, it's kind of like I can pull the trigger kind of whenever I feel like it once like the end of May hits. So pretty excited for that. Hopefully, we're gonna cross our fingers, I am on PC in time for the Bungie doubleheader of
right?
Destiny 2, The Edge of Fate, and Marathon. We're talking a lot about the future here today.
Yeah, we are. It's funny. I was telling my wife.
I'm proud of that segue.
Yeah, that was a good one. I was telling my wife about, hey, by the way, outside of the Switch 2, Destiny's coming out with a new expansion soon. Also, she's like, I thought Destiny was over.
Yeah,
she was like, didn't you just make a big deal that like the last thing was the final thing? I was like, well, sure, but
I've had to explain that to 3 different people in the last 2 days.
Yeah, it's worth noting that my wife doesn't pay attention to video games at all, except for half of when I'm talking. just to
Yeah,
appease me.
Chelsea basically knows about things because I show them to her, and then she plays them like a year later.
Yeah.
And with the notable exception of Avowed, she has 100%ed Avowed, and
What?
yeah, I'm still in the opening air. Well, you got to remember, she stays up at night a lot because of her job.
Right.
So, like, and then when she has like a week at a time off, which is usually what happens, she tends to schedule her days like that. Um, where she'll work 3 nights, she'll have like 2 days off real quick, then she'll work 3 more nights, and then she has like 8 or 9 days in a row off. And on those, because her sleep schedule is like so fucked up, she'll just stay up and play video games while I'm asleep, or during the day while I'm trying to like work and do stuff at home. And yeah, she was like asking me about stuff and about, and I'm like, dude, I'm not even out of the first area. I got off Tutorial Island and did a little bit on the mainland, and I simply haven't gotten back to it. My backlog for this year alone is already growing, and I'm really scared.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now, I need to get through Avowed. I need to play more Monster Hunter Wilds. I need to play South of Midnight. Expedition 33 with our good friend Ben Starr is next week.
Mm-hmm.
Is he in? He's in it, right?
Yeah. He's like the main character, I think.
I feel like
he's
Ben
one
Starr
of the main
is
characters.
Maybe I'm going crazy. He's in everything right now.
He's also something else that was just announced he's in.
He is in it. He will be.
Oh, it's Marathon. He was doing something.
Yeah, he is the narrating voice of a lot of stuff for Marathon, and he's also in Hades 2. Yeah, Ben Starr, friend of the show, has really just blown up ever since he was Clive a couple years ago.
Really, it's ever since we became pals at PAX East last year. He's blown up.
That's true. It's you're not wrong. You're actually not wrong. Yeah, could not happen to a nicer guy though. We love Ben Starr here. Doom is on the way. Doom is less than a month away, Corey.
That it is. Yes.
Very excited. I definitely did not see like $200 worth of controllers I'm going to be buying. Yesterday.
Those Doom ones are cool.
Yeah, I've never bought an Elite controller, and I've been putting it off for a long time. And our friend Ray was like, you should just wait until they do one of the really cool special ones. He's like, they'll do one eventually for like Halo or Gears or like another franchise you love, and then they're doing it for Doom. And I'm like, fuck. It's really cool. I actually think that the regular controller looks cooler.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Doomslayer armor, but there's the blood splatter. And then did you notice the face buttons, instead of them being like A, B, X, Y, are Doom symbols instead?
Mm-hmm. I did.
That is awesome.
That was a nice touch.
I love that. I feel like this is one that I want to buy like purely to have for my personal collection, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Like that is one like I would put up on my shelf with like my 20th anniversary controller and my old like Titanfall and Halo controllers. Right. Just to say, hey, I have this because it's awesome.
Right.
So yeah. So it's been an expensive pre-order week. And it's only gonna get worse once we can get Switch 2's. But let's talk about where we're going, Corey. 2 future adventures we gotta talk about here.
2 of them.
Yeah, 2 of them. We're going to start with the one that we really aren't going to talk a whole lot about tonight, which is ironic considering this is a Destiny podcast. Destiny 2 Edge of Fate officially announced. We do not have a release date yet, but there is a reveal event coming. Like a lot of us suspected it was going to be on May 6th, immediately before the launch of the Rite of the Nine dungeon crawl activity that mistakenly went live a few weeks ago. That is going to be the thing that drops as soon as this happens. We're kind of seeing the like, oh, it's like this year's like Into the Light style thing.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta tell you, man, I didn't think they were going to suck me back in with getting hyped for an expansion. And then they put 9 symbols on this teaser image.
Yeah,
And I feel like that's one of the only 2 things you could have done here to get the story and lore passionate part of the fan base interested again.
Yeah, because I mean the 9 are like, it's like the one thing that hasn't really been explored all that much.
It had to be them or the Vex. It had to be them or the Vex that was going to be the main thing. And I mean, there's nothing that says the Vex can't be the main villain of this, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of allusions made in Heresy, not even allusions, it's outright said that the Taken serve a new master, the Dread and like what's left of the Shadow Legion are kind of looking for someone to work for. And I think that would be a very fascinating twist if the Nine took control of those entities.
Mm-hmm.
Because you figure
Which
the
it seems
Dread
like
have to
they
play a
kind of,
pretty big role going forward.
yeah, and it seems like the Nine have some sort of control over the Taken, right?
It's being implied.
Yeah.
We like still don't know the true nature of the Nine, and I think that's one of the most fascinating things because we've wondered about it for 10 years.
Yeah.
11 years now, really. This will be the 11th year of Destiny.
Yeah. So like the only thing I really even know about the Nine is like there's like some sort of like almost civil war between them where like half of them want to help us and half of them want to like see if they can exist without us or something, and like
Yeah.
They can't really fully manifest themselves really in a physical form,
Well,
which
and
is
if you
why
remember
like
the Awoken Warrior Paladin Orin
mhm,
became the emissary.
mhm,
The emissary is who we see at the end of the prophecy dungeon.
mhm.
So
Yeah.
I think that's interesting. Xur, of course, Xur, one of the greatest mysteries of the Destiny universe, is an agent of the Nine. His will is not his own. Remember, they say that.
Mhm.
What if we encounter a whole race of people that are Xur?
A whole squiggly face people.
A whole group of squiggly faced people. Davy Jones, that shit.
I mean, sure. I mean, they would introduce a new race. That'd be nice.
Yeah, but I mean, like the concept art that we've seen for well, what was being called Apollo,
Mhm.
formerly known as Frontiers. I gotta say, I'm pretty excited about it. I think having the Nine be, we don't know if they're going to be the antagonists or what, but they're going to be the focus,
Mhm.
is really fascinating in a campaign that they've said they directly will be drawing from inspiration from Metroidvanias and roguelikes for.
Yeah,
Remember,
and
this is the first of those non-linear campaigns.
right, and I imagine it's probably going to be something like Forsaken a little bit, where like you go take out the Barons in Forsaken campaign, but maybe you can do it in whatever order you want, or like maybe you have to do certain things in one section and go back to another section to kind of figure it out, right? Like puzzles type
Yeah, I'm
things.
kind of wondering if this will be like a cross between like something like that, because Forsaken was still kind of linear
Mm-hmm.
in that regard, but like combine that with something like the open worldness of Halo Infinite,
Mm-hmm.
where you can hunt the high values at any time that you wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wonder if it'll be something like that. I would be very fascinated. This almost certainly has to be the best destination they've ever made if they want to pull that off,
Yeah.
which I feel they've started. They got really, really good with the Pale Heart because Neomuna was such a letdown. Cool aesthetic, horrible destination. And it was such a letdown after we had the cool Throne World the year before, and now you have the Pale Heart. They said that the thing that they want destinations to take inspiration from is the Dreaming City and its secrets. And I feel that both the Pale Heart and the Throne World followed in that vein, as opposed to the rehash of the Moon, Europa, and Neomuna. I feel like those three were more of like, oh, this is something we would expect to see in like vanilla Destiny,
Yeah.
and not a fleshed out, realized location with secrets to uncover and things that happen over time, things that are affected by the environment and by like where you are in the story and whatnot. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested to see what happens here. I'm always going to be most interested to see where the lore goes and what the raid is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of potential. This is a 9 themed expansion. This could be the most batshit crazy raid we've ever seen. And that's saying something considering we just had Salvation's Edge, which has that title currently as the most batshit crazy thing I've seen in this game.
Yeah.
The dungeon team has been cooking. Raid and dungeon team has been firing on all cylinders for a while now. I would say going all the way back to Ghosts of the Deep, they've just been firing. Like you had the hiccup of Root of Nightmares, which I don't even think Root of Nightmares is bad. It's just that it's too fucking easy for a raid.
Yeah.
But you
It's
had
super
the
easy.
Crota, you have the Crota's End revival, you have Salvation's Edge, and then on the dungeon front, you had Ghosts of the Deep, you had Warlord's Ruin, and then you have a giant step up, I think, in terms of quality, mechanics, difficulty, etc., with Vesper's Host and Sunder Doctrine.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm interested to see where they go with this raid, with the dungeon we know that's coming with Behemoth. My main concern about this is you're choosing the most mysterious topic in the Destiny universe to be the focus of the first of these smaller expansions you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't inspire me with a lot of confidence. Because, yeah, we're going to get a campaign, but how fleshed out is it going to be? Is it going to be something on, like, the length and weight, like, maybe scale and scope of, like, Shadowkeep? Or is it going to be more like Warmind?
Right.
And I don't think either one of those is a great answer. I don't really like either one of those.
Right.
Yeah, it
that
doesn't
seems
fill me with confidence, especially knowing that the story team was one of the teams that took a whole lot of hits.
mm-hmm.
And I did not realize this until the marathon stream. I completely had missed. I'm sure we talked about it, and I've just slept since then. Mm-hmm. Julia Narden, who we've credited a lot with doing some of our favorite seasonal stuff from Chosen onwards, took over as the expansion director expansion narrative director, I believe. I don't know what the exact title was. Just prior to Lightfall coming out, and really steered the final shape into its conclusion, has become the marathon narrative director. I did not remember that happening at all. I'm sure it happened when all the layoffs happened or whatever.
I'm sure it also happened when, like you said, the layoffs, but also like maybe like when Chris Barrett got fired, and like they were trying to figure out what new to do with that, because a lot of things about that game changed.
A lot of things changed. We know she didn't join then. We know that she was definitely on the team through Final Shape. So that's about where the timeline ends for me. She was one of those, like a lot of people in this industry, who just stopped being on socials as much, and I can't say I blame her.
Haven't we all?
Right, especially being a woman working on an FPS game. I can only imagine.
Not toxic at all.
Not toxic at all. Bungie fans famously rational about everything, especially story. So that's another big blow. Robert Brooks was laid off. If that name is familiar to you, we've talked about him on the show before. Largely responsible for Crow.
Mm-hmm.
And the journey that Crow has gone on, I believe, was part of the Mithrax and Keitel stories as well. He was let go. He is now working on the follow-up to Cyberpunk 2077. That's extremely exciting. Like, very talented people were like, oh, and they were hired almost immediately because it's fucking Bungie. Right. Fans may deride what happens in these games in the Destiny universe. People who actually work in the industry really seem to respect the storytelling that they have done.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, I would say, from Forsaken onward, when it became a lot easier to read the lore in-game. Lore tabs were being put on a lot of items. You had the lore books you could find with the pages. You didn't have to go to Bungie.net or watch a Bife video to understand what was happening anymore.
Right.
The seasonal storytelling, I think, like, for the most part, has been adequate. Not stellar, but like for every bad season or two that we get something that really just blows our socks off.
Right.
So I'm interested to see what that is. They need to talk not just about what Edge of whatever it is. I've already forgot. Edge of Fate. I tried to call it Edge of Finality, and then I remembered that's an exotic glaive. Edge of Fate. They need to talk not just about that, but they need to lay out the exact plan for these updates that are going to come out after the expansion launches, because they said we're going to get an Into the Light-sized expansion a couple months in. We need to know what artifact resets are going to look like, what's going to be the evolution of Armor 4.0, I think we're on now. Jeez. Armor and Weapons 4.0, we need to look at that.
Right, because all that's changing too.
All that's changing with the launch of the new expansion. I know that the story is going to be steeped in mystery. We need to see some of the new location, because there has to be a new location here. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say there needs to be a new enemy faction. We didn't know if there's going to be any sort of like subclass updates. There's got to be a hook that brings you in. If this is the start of the next great journey for Destiny, I think there's got to be some things added, even if it's just adding things to Prismatic. There's got to be some things changed here and some things added. I want to hear about PvP changes they're going to do. I want to hear long-term plans for, I don't know, story content for us to be able to engage with story content once it's no longer in the game anymore. I was having a long conversation about this with some friends the other night. I need to know what those types of plans are. What are the plans for seasons going forward? You don't tell me what the season's going to be about, but just tell me what the plan is. We know, it's supposed to be a 6-month season. Cool. I want to know what seasons are going to entail. Are seasons going to be more like what we just got with Heresy? Or are they going to be more like Revenant? Because Revenant sucked dick. Heresy, by and large, been pretty damn good. Been pretty damn good on the story front, the activities front, the loot front, fun artifact mods. Really, really enjoyed the missions we got. Love the exotic mission. Derealize for the Barrow Dyad. The final mission of this whole storyline, it's great. Even if it abruptly ends, it's still great.
Mm-hmm.
I've largely really enjoyed Heresy. Despite some of my squabbles about how it has ended up to this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the best of the episodes, right? I mean,
it's not even a question.
Yeah.
I think the best plot thread we've had is still the fall of Maya Sundaresh.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, like, one of my big complaints about this season in particular, and why I've been, I think, less engaged narratively than I ever have been before, is the voice acting not being there. And that's no fault of the voice actors, right?
Right.
But that is the danger of live service, right?
Yeah.
Like, you still have a schedule and have to put stuff out. I'm hoping it's resolved somewhat before Edge of Fate comes out, because that's going to be really distracting if it's a full-on expansion and we don't have it. Seasonal content, a little more forgiving on.
Mm-hmm.
Can't do it with something that you're asking me to pay money. And that brings me to my other point. I need to know how much this is going to cost, because to me, this can cost no more than $40.
Yeah, I was going to say $40, and then like to get the two. What are they going back to seasons? Or are they?
They are called seasons, and the seasons. I looked at the infographic again. Unless things have changed, and we know Bungie can change things. It's been about 9 months since we got this infographic from the First Frontiers blog. Seasons are free to all players. So that's why I'm trying to temper my expectations when it comes to seasons.
See, that tells me the expansion is going to be $50 or $60 because you're
getting if it is, you cannot bill this as a affordable or as a smaller experience and charge $60, in my opinion. Although they will,
unless the seasons are free and they have like that battle pass that always, or the season pass that always.
So I'm pulling up the infographic right now. I want to read exactly what the Frontiers graphic says from last year. So you have 3 things listed out. You have expansions, seasons. You have 4 things: expansion, season, major updates, and reward passes. So in the expansion, what we now know as Edge of Fate, you can expect new stories, locations, missions, weapons, gear, raids, and dungeons. That is the paid expansion. That is coming this year. It still says summer. If I had to be a betting man, I would say that like 3rd week of July is looking real good right now to put this out.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got Behemoth, which is planned. It says winter 2025 for Behemoth. I would bet you any amount of money you want that this is getting bumped to like February of next year.
I would say the end of January, beginning of February is probably where you want to put it, just based on how games tend to come out.
How games come out, you're getting back to that window that they said that they like. You're getting into both of those release windows then that they like, which is like the August, September, and like the January, February, March area.
Mm-hmm.
But also you're getting out of the way of GTA 6. You're getting out of your own way with Marathon.
Yeah.
Which they're going to want to let Marathon shine in the back half of this year. And I totally get that.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. That's totally fine. You need to let your new IP shine.
Sorry, I keep going. I had a question, but you might answer it with this.
No, go ahead and ask your question.
Didn't they say the Behemoth was going to be bigger than Apollo at some point?
I don't remember off the top of my head, honestly.
I feel like they said that at some point, but maybe
it might be. I'm not sure. I need to go back and look at a lot of the Frontiers blogs leading into, and I'll do it before our next show because we will have one more Tower Casuals before the reveal event. It'll actually be the Thursday directly before.
Mm-hmm.
I want to sit down and go through all of that and like compile like bullet points. But seasonal updates are supposed to have New and reprise, and these come out every 6 months with the expansions, and this is where I was getting confused. They come out with the expansion, so I assume you'll do the expansion, you'll have that, and after the raid is released, I would assume that following weekly reset is when seasons will come out.
Mm-hmm.
Seasons available to all players. I'm inferring that to be that's free. I remember them saying it was going to be free. I need to go look, so don't take this as gospel. I do remember them saying it was going to be free.
But but like available to all players, like even if it was paid, what would that mean if it was paid? Like,
well, I'm glad that you asked that, Corey, because seasonal updates are going to include new and reprised activities, new gear, new artifact mods, new modifiers and challenges, a new sandbox meta, and new events. So that will be free. And the first one, there is one labeled for summer and there's one labeled for fall. For these major updates that will be part of that. Those are the Into the Light style expansions. When this was broken out, one of the things that was being relayed that would be in the fall major update is they're going to add to the raid. Remember, they're going to add new encounters, and I assume that's when Master Mode will come out, etc. for the raid.
mm-hmm.
And then when it happens in spring next year, that's when Pantheon 2.0 will release.
Mm-hmm.
So just to give us an idea of some of the things that will be a part of these. And then there is the paid rewards pass, which I assume this is going to stay at $10 like it is now. Just instead of getting the seasonal content with it, it's just going to be the battle pass, which includes the exotic weapon and ornament, legendary weapon and armor ornaments. Very excited. Legendary weapon ornaments are coming back. Gear upgrade resources, cosmetics, and more. And of course, this was released last summer. So things I'm sure have changed. I'm sure we're about to get brand new infographics and charts. We love our charts here. I'm very excited to see what this is all about because it's going to come down to the price. We've talked about price on a multitude of shows over the last few weeks because, Nintendo pricing Mario Kart World at $80 has ignited a huge conversation in all the communities that we're a part of. On both sides, there's arguments to be made, I think. This is going to be another equation of that. How much money can the average person set aside for a live service game?
Especially when you have a second one coming out too that I'm sure a lot of Destiny fans are interested in.
Just based on and Marathon is not free to play.
Mm-mm.
It will be a price title. It will not be a premium price title though, which we'll get into that just in a minute with Marathon. But yeah, I mean, it's not inconceivable to think that somebody is going to spend probably $80-$90 between those two games. If you're a big Bungie fan this fall, you're probably paying $80-$90, maybe $100 for two games. It adds up really quickly, and that's without buying cosmetics. That's without buying battle passes. Like, it adds up fast.
Mm-hmm.
And it brings up, we've talked about this from, a paid SKU standpoint, but I think one of the things that's really getting overlooked is, yeah, people flock to these free-to-play games, but have you seen how much the average skin costs in a game like Fortnite or Call of Duty?
Yeah, it's like 20 or $30 depending on if it's licensed or not.
Yeah.
And if you want the extra stuff, and if you want the pickaxe, and if you want the weapon skins. And
I'm going to tell you something. I don't think that Sea of Thieves is very well priced when it comes to its cosmetics. I was pleasantly surprised to see that to get the 4 Destiny weapon skins cost me about $5.
Seriously? $5?
$5 for all 4 weapon skins. Now the ship customization is where the real money is for them.
Yeah.
That shit's expensive.
Yeah.
The Drifter costume, I think, is $10 total. I did not feel bad buying the weapon skins, though. I jumped in. I played some Sea of Thieves this week with my old crew, the old captains, and we had a blast. We've had a blast playing it the last couple of nights, and even if that's all I ever played and I never went back, I would be happy that I spent that $5. That $5 was totally well spent for me. My issue comes with Bungie's cosmetics are not. I think their weapon ornaments and their armor ornaments are pretty good. The emotes are pretty bad, and they're pretty badly priced on top of that. I've long said that I think that ships, anything that is exotic that is not an ornament, I think is grossly overpriced. I think there's too much for money in this game. And that practice is not going to go away. In fact, I would say it's probably going to get worse with Edge of Fate.
Yeah.
And that's a frustrating place to be because now you have 2 games to fund But now we know that you're just funding those 2 games. You don't have like 5 other things in incubation, like we found out with all the firings last year and all the stories from Paul Tassi and Jeff Grubb.
Mm-hmm.
So I will always bemoan that we did not get that new Luke Smith Destiny game, but
yeah, that's
my interest is peaked for Edge of Fate. Heresy did a lot to really get me reinterested in Destiny. And I was not the only one. I heard from a lot of y'all who were starting to drift away, and then Heresy had us all right back in, because this is the Bungie cycle.
mm-hmm.
This happens every single time. Like, I kind of felt that last year wasn't the greatest on seasons. Like, last expansion cycle, I guess I should say. I can't even say last year anymore because it took so long. And by and large, like, Wish, even though it was a super long season, Wish drew a lot of us back in, and then we dipped until Into the Light, and Into the Light and Pantheon was like the greatest thing we've ever gotten, right? We got Seraph leading into Lightfall, which had all of us stoked. We're like, oh my god, this is so cool. Arrivals leading into Beyond Light was one that, that still might be the pinnacle for how to end a content year. In terms of a world-changing, universe-changing style event. Like, they almost always deliver on the season that leads into... For a long time, there was a joke that every other season was good.
Yeah.
Because you had the same teams working together, and it was like the story-heavy team and this and that. And
yeah.
I don't think that's really a fair thing to say, but I get why people said it.
I mean, if you look at the seasons, though, it's like you said,
you have a couple outliers, but yeah, it's not entirely wrong.
Yeah.
So they've done what they always do. They've at least got me intrigued. I wouldn't say and this is weird for somebody to say with a podcast that talks about Destiny a couple times a month. I'm not super jazzed because I need to know what the pricing is. I need to know what all I'm getting for the price that they're going to give us. I need to know when this is coming out, because we talked about my backlog at the beginning of this. I'm going to be 6 games deep in a backlog by the time they even reveal this on May 6th. And thankfully, there's not a whole lot coming out this summer that I care about. But that Elder Scrolls remake is stealth dropping next week. I'm really screwed.
That's yours. That's like your...
For everyone who does not know, I consider Oblivion to be one of the greatest, maybe the greatest Western RPG not called The Witcher 3. I'm gonna be a mess. Diablo is adding an event for Berserk, which I'm really excited for. Never thought I'd see that. I'm scared. I'm worried. Crossplay just came to Baldur's Gate 3, which is also going to ruin me. My Baldur's Gate 3 playthrough is finally commencing.
It's on sale on Xbox also.
I bought it on Xbox. That's where I bought it, because I was like, I'm not going to have a computer anytime soon. I'm just going to buy it again on PC, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's crossplay and cross progression, right?
Yeah.
I love when games do that. I mean, I don't love
it. It's got to be industry standard going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I don't love that you have to buy the game twice, but it's understandable. But I love that cross progression is just...
It kind of depends on who it is, though, because this is, again, like we talk about Microsoft a lot, but I really love Play Anywhere. I don't love that I have to use the Windows Store, but I like the idea of Play Anywhere. That's really, really nice to somebody who, like, once I get a PC, I want to start getting into, like, the ROG Ally and whatnot, and the Steam Deck. Like, that's really, really nice for someone like me. Like, they're making use of Battle.net more and more, too, which is fascinating.
Which they should do. I mean, Battle.net is so superior and already has that fan base built in.
I really think Battle.net's just going to be and I'll save most of this for next week's Xbox Casuals, but I do think that Battle.net is going to be the prototype for what they want to do with the unified store going forward. They're going to merge them together. You have the anti-cheat built in. Like, why wouldn't you do it?
Yeah, I agree. Well, I mean, they tested it out with Avowed, right? With
yes, they did
Xbox main titles.
Yeah, Sea of Thieves is coming to it also with a shitload of Blizzard cosmetics, and Doom: The Dark Ages is also coming. So I think it's just going to be standard going forward for them. I also believe that Indiana Jones and the Great Circle will be coming in the next couple months.
Mhm.
Don't quote me on that though.
Well, it should.
It
They
should.
should. They
It
should.
should. You should play the best game of the last year.
Well, I mean, they should be using the
Yeah.
BattleNet store regardless.
One last thing I want to get out before this. We think that this is releasing at the end of July, right?
I would assume
Any
I mean,
later than that, and I feel like you're going to be stepping on Marathon.
I would say end of June at the earliest. Probably
It's not going to
late.
be. It will not be the end of June. I'll say that right now. You're not going to do the reveal and release it 7 weeks later. There's no way.
I mean, Nintendo is.
Nintendo is Nintendo, though. Nintendo is not a company that's begging for monthly active users on their flagship title.
I mean, press C to chat begs to differ.
Okay, just because they put the cuck button on there doesn't mean anything. I think this has to be an end of July. I think first week of August at the absolute latest, because they want to go full steam in the Marathon when they can, and they don't want to have a Marathon beta period lining up with like the raid being the new hotness.
Mm-hmm.
So I think July is probably when you're getting this. That also lets your major updates get out of the way of GTA 6.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's actually kind of genius. If you don't have anything else on Edge of Fate, I just want to roll right in the Marathon from here.
No, I mean, I'm interested from a story perspective.
Sure.
I don't really have much else to say because I don't really know. Like, it's not just like I don't know much about the 9. It's like nobody really knows a lot about the 9. It's even Bife, right? Like he had a 14-minute video the other day trying to say this is what we know about the 9, and that's it.
Yep. So, it's not a lot.
Yeah.
They interfered with Skolas. We know that. They freed him, I believe.
Of course they did.
So, Marathon, though.
Back, confirmed.
Marathon. I know it's a Destiny show, but we're going to talk a lot about Marathon tonight.
Look, I already made the thumbnail. It's neon yellow.
Okay. Was this one of the best single game reveals you've ever seen or not?
It was pretty good. I enjoyed it. It was weird seeing Farnsworth talk about another game other than Destiny with like a panel of people. But I think it looks great. I think that live action kind of trailer that they showed was cool.
Yeah, I have not watched the whole thing. I've watched little clips of it here and there. It's an 8.5-minute short film.
Yeah. And I guess that short film. Yeah. I think, I do want to say, like, I was like, man, I recognize that aim down sights animation. I recognize these running animations a little bit.
Yep.
But that said, I said that about Destiny, like with certain animations. I was like, I recognize that from Halo, right? But like, it's the Bungie feel, right? That's what they want you to feel when you play the game. They want it to feel recognizable and with a little bit of a different twist. And I don't know. I thought it was really good. I thought that they kind of are making the extraction shooter seem exciting a little bit, at least. Like it.
Yeah.
It's colorful. I like the contrast of the colors between the characters and like you're outside and like it's kind of dull and desaturated, but the characters are like very vibrant. And then you go inside and it's very contrast striking. Like the neons and the like the blacks are like pitch black, but then you have the neon yellows and teals and the bright reds of like the emergency exits and stuff. Like super cool.
As somebody who loves the feel of like cyberpunk and like Blade Runner-esque aesthetics and like super high level sci-fi, like futuristic sci-fi, this clicked about every single box in the design department. I've been on record as being very skeptical that it was going to live up to what that teaser trailer was 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And they nailed it. Joe Cross has absolutely nailed this look. Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
This looks really, really cool. I think that the runners look awesome.
Yeah.
I
was a little concerned, like that they're kind of preset, because like originally when we heard Marathon was being worked on, you could customize your own character and kind of
So I actually want to dive into that for a second. When we talked about that, that's what got you and I both really excited, and then they took that away, and we started hearing it was going to be more like Apex Legends.
Mm-hmm.
That, as best as I can tell, was a change that was instituted when Joe Ziegler came aboard.
Hmm.
Joe Ziegler, for those of you who do not know, Joe Ziegler was the former game director of Valorant over at Riot.
Which is if I'm remembering correctly, a class-based shooter, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is a class-based shooter in the vein of like the next evolution of like a Counter-Strike style game.
Hmm.
I have been very publicly skeptical of this game. I've been very down on it. I have not been inspired by what I heard. This event was for people like me who needed to be convinced, because it was like an hour-long thing. I missed it live because I was at my niece's 1-year birthday party. The things you do for family. But I was sneaking looks on my phone whenever I could. I listened to the whole thing on the drive home. Heard Ben Starr's sultry voice. But I think what the hell was that noise?
What is it?
It was like a really loud buzzing noise, and it wasn't my phone. Oh, okay.
Well, everybody, we're recording, so if somebody's breaking into Josh's house,
right. I think them going to classes was actually a really good idea after seeing them in action. And they clarified that they only showed a couple of the classes. There will be more at launch. I think they're launching with 6 or 7 classes total.
So the alpha has they revealed 4 during the stream.
Yes.
The alpha has 4 in it, and they
Yes.
said there will be 6 at launch with more to come.
We know that this, and the next part is where I'm getting a little concerned. There's 3 maps. Mm-hmm. With a 4th coming out very quickly after launch, they said. We've seen 1 screenshot of that map. Almost everything was set on the same map, by the way. Mm-hmm. We saw the reveal, and I assume that's because they want you to find out stuff in the alphas and betas, and they're probably going to show. I wouldn't be shocked if like that post-launch map or another map was focused on very heavily during the rumored PlayStation Presents for May. They almost always do a May event, like that 3rd week. I would not be shocked to see this there. I anticipate that the 3rd launch map will probably get shown off pretty heavily at PAX Prime in Seattle, because that is taking place about 3 weeks before launch. And Bungie has in the past been a major presenter at PAX. So it would not shock me to see them have that or another playtest or something like that. I think that weekend will probably coincide with the final beta. Mm-hmm. They have emphasized that the alpha that they are doing is going to be the first alpha will be very, very, very limited. Mm-hmm. They have emphasized that. The rumor going around right now is that if you get an alpha key, you will also get 2 friend keys to give to other people.
Yeah,
to get them in.
I mean, that makes sense, right? Because it's a 3v3,
yes,
whatever. Yeah.
I think this looked cool. Then they were talking about it. They says on that map that they were showing us, that is the one with the most player count, which is 18. And they said the way that you play it, you can avoid other players entirely. There are PvE enemies in there. Mm-hmm. And it took me listening to a couple of content creators talk about the game that got to go check it out. The one that I would really recommend, I really enjoyed hearing both Scaro9 and CB Gray talk about it. Mm-hmm. Because they broke it down and were like, yeah, there's a lot of PvE elements. Like, there's like stuff that's like equivalent to like dungeons in here. And that was such a cool statement to hear, mm-hmm. because that's the shit I'm here for.
Right.
I'm here for that. Now, the other thing that has always drawn me to Bungie games, yes, I love the gunplay. I love the multiplayer of Bungie games. But the 3rd pillar for that has always been their characters and storytelling. And that's where I'm really worried about this. I saw a lot of people complaining, like, oh my God, it's going to be like Grimoire cards. I'm like, no, I actually really think it's going to be a lot more like Elden Ring, where you discover the story as you play through the world and as you explore the world and interact with objects and undertake certain missions and certain mm-hmm. extractions.
Yeah, that sounds more like what they were trying, like what people have been saying. I've heard a couple people say Elden Ring over Grimoire cards, because I think yeah. I think Bungie like realizes that the Grimoire cards, though in theory was a cool idea, like players hated it, so why would they go back to it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now I think that if you were doing that, like in 2025, it's a little bit different. But the fact is that's tainted. It's tainted. You can't go back to it.
Yeah.
And you couldn't even reliably view them from the app either, which is the biggest problem.
Yeah.
I really think if you could have done it from the app, it wouldn't have been as big of a problem. But I really, really, really liked how this looked. I liked the different kits. I'm all in on Void. I think Void was one of the coolest ones they showed. Really gave me a lot of Hunter vibes. I think it was Lars Bierkin was talking and said, yeah, I love laying claymores everywhere and tricking enemies into coming in and other teams. I thought that was really cool. Like there's a lot of room for strategy here.
Yeah.
I watched, obviously they showed it to us during the stream, but Lupo playing, Dr. Lupo has gone on record saying that he has been playtesting this game for them for like 5 years.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's a huge Tarkov player.
He is the Tarkov player as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. So like, of course they're going to say, hey, you know, because I mean, I would argue that that's probably the biggest extraction shooter. Like, I know some people were trying to argue the Division's Dark Zone. Which is like,
Tarkov is an absolute.
I was like, yeah, but the Division is so much more than an extraction shooter, right? I mean, that's a straight up RPG, essentially. So like,
but I think that this to me is exciting in a way that Tarkov is not accessible to me. I think people are turned off by Tarkov just because like we think of extraction shooters as like these grimy military shooters. Like there was so much combat in the marathon footage we were being shown, and that's in such high contrast to what you see in Tarkov.
Right. Like remember when not that either of us really put a lot of time or any time into it, but Rainbow Six Extraction, like that was supposed to be a military extraction shooter, and then they colored it, like they spray painted the entire game yellow essentially to add color to it to try to make it appealing. And then it wasn't.
Yeah, setting this in a completely fictional science fiction world, I think is going to be the big thing. We've always said that if anyone could do this, it was gonna be Bungie. The sticking point remains, one, what is this cost going to be? They've said it will not be a full-priced premium title, but that could mean it's anywhere from 20 to 50 or 60 bucks, because I think now we think of a premium title as 70 or 80. I don't think 60 is a premium price anymore.
I would say...
I think that this is landing at 40.
I think 40... I think $39.99 is the... If you're going to charge for it, the easy price point to point at. I think they think it might be $49.99.
So can I blow your mind here?
Sure.
I actually think that $29.99 is the cheap point. $39.99, throw in some exclusive cosmetics in the first battle pass.
Yeah.
$30 will get people in the door a lot. The cheaper you make this, the more people are going to grab it. And I think that Sony sees the success that Helldivers 2 had and is just praying for similar numbers here.
Yeah, and
I think this is automatically more interesting than Helldivers. I think that this is going to appeal to... And here's the thing. This is a game that does not appeal to everyone. I want to go ahead and say that right now. If you're not a big PvP person, you probably will not enjoy this game. You probably will not. And that, guys, I'm going to blow your mind. It's okay. It is okay to not be into it if you are not big into PvP experiences, because yes, you can avoid it, but it will be unavoidable to an extent.
Yeah.
But they said that the matchmaking is supposed to put you in players with your similar skill. I'm really skeptical because skill-based matchmaking is bad. It's not great.
It's never been great. Yeah, I think maybe you have a point to that, and like I think there's going to be different versions, like you said, like the $29.99 base version, and then there'll definitely be one with the battle pass that includes the battle pass and cosmetics. But then I wonder if there'll be like an ultimate edition that comes with something else too entirely.
I mean,
like
there's
extra,
gonna be that. There's gonna be a collector's edition.
Yeah, like no, like the customizational nodes to add to your weapons and your armor and stuff.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how far they go with this,
something.
because this was very clearly a first look direct. I've talked to 2 or 3 different people who are very skeptical that this comes out this year. I personally think that they chose the Borderlands date because it's coming out the same day as Borderlands 4. They chose that on purpose.
Yeah.
Because that ensures that they don't end up releasing the same day as GTA. 2K publishes both games.
Bold, though.
It probably confirms that GTA is that first week of November, if I had to guess.
I would say late October, early November for GTA.
That last week of October, like Halloween week, or like around Veterans Day.
Yeah,
you've got a span from like maybe the 25th of October through like November 12th that it can release, I think.
Yeah, I think it's going to come out. I think GTA is going to come out like the week before Call of Duty.
Or week after. I mean, those two are the only 2 games that can release with their dates overlapping and they won't lose a single player.
Yeah.
So, we talk about it all the time on shows, like the average consumer buys 3 full price games a year at most. In a year with GTA, like what do you think? It's going to be GTA, Call of Duty, and like 2K or Madden. That's going to be their 3 games. Like maybe Borderlands, because Borderlands is it may not be a mover to a lot of us who have gotten older now. That game is going to sell 15 million copies lifetime with 0 problems.
Right.
And if it runs well on the Switch too,
yeah,
holy God.
Yeah.
I have not forgotten the last time they tried to release a Borderlands game, making it a big deal at a console reveal, and my wallet has never forgiven me for attempting to play it on the Vita. But if they can get this running pretty good on the Switch too, that's going to be big.
Yeah.
It's going to be really big.
Yeah. Borderlands 1 ran okay on the Switch 1.
Borderlands 1 is also like a 2008 game. I would hope it runs good on the Switch 1.
Well, the tech in the Switch is also a 2008 system, so...
You're not wrong. You're not wrong, my friend. But overall, I really like this. This did exactly what I needed it to do. I was poo-pooing and pissing on this until I saw the actual reveal, and I was like, damn, that's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, I think the aesthetic is going to do a lot of heavy lifting.
It's doing a lot of heavy... That and the promise of Bungie gunfights.
Yeah. I mean, those are 2 very, very good things to hang your hat on, to be honest.
2 very good things to hang your hat on.
And like they're not bogged down by like the Destiny mechanics of like grinding and class building and
there is still a grind in this. They did make that very clear.
Right, but it's much different than the Destiny.
No, it's a much different grind. I do think people who get frustrated by when you die, you lose all your shit, are going to get really annoyed by this really quickly. But it's like, we both played Division, and I'm going to speak for myself here. I don't want to speak for you. I was at least interested in the Dark Zone. I think it was a great idea, very poorly implemented because they weren't sure how to do it yet.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But I think doing this in a location that doesn't seem realistic is a big deal. I really think this could be the one, man. Like, that's just what I keep coming back to. Destiny really helped popularize the MMO style experience on consoles. I have a piece pulled up from Travis Northup over at IGN, who, if that name sounds familiar to you, Iron Lords podcast, and not so much Iron Lords, I guess, but Last Word.
Yeah.
I want to read something that leads off his preview of this. If Escape from Tarkov is the PUBG of extraction shooters, boldly striking out into a new genre despite humble origins, then Bungie's upcoming shooter Marathon is the big budget refinement that could become the emerging category's Fortnite. What the fuck? That is a wild thing to say, but if anyone can do it, it's Bungie.
Yeah.
The last 2 IP they created are 2 of the most influential games of the last 25 years. Mm-hmm. You don't have console FPS games the way they are without Halo. You arguably don't have Xbox or Xbox Live without Halo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, holy shit. This is... I really want to read some selective things from here. It's easy to see how Bungie might pull it off with a concept that's so inherently geared towards the hardcore PvP crowd and such a clear departure from what they've done in the past. It's certainly not without risks, even if they do manage to capture the usual FPS magic they're known for. After spending the better part of 2 days sliding and gunning my way through Tau Ceti's relentless ruins, I was hooked and can't wait to group up with my most try-hard friends and ruin people's days. If you've played Escape from Tarkov, you'll be familiar with the PvPvE framing, which forces you to ante up any loot you bring along with you, as it's permanently lost if you fail to exfiltrate before the time runs out or your team is killed. After fighting tooth and nail against surprisingly challenging AI enemies and ruthless fellow runners to get a high-level rifle that could down most enemies in 2 hits, I wasn't about to let my guard down for even a moment and risk losing it all to some unworthy foe. If, like me, you've bemoaned the quiet, undignified death of PvP in Destiny 2, then you might share my eagerness to see Bungie focus squarely on a competitive experience here, and everything I played so far indicates they've still got more than what it takes to pull off. God, Travis's whole preview is just incredible. I really, really, really encourage you to go read this if you want maybe the best breakdown that I've seen so far about this game. And it's somebody who knows what they're talking about. I generally agree with Travis's takes when it comes to shooters. Over the years, I found myself, we may differ a little bit on Destiny, but by and large, I really agree with Travis. I think Travis, especially after Stella was let go over there, is probably the best shooter person that they have. So yeah, man, it's so good. I like this. Marathon's tensest moments happen when you encounter enemy crews and inevitably clash in a bid to claim one another's loot. We'd spot a crew in the distance and stealthily follow them, waiting for the right moment to stage an ambush, or sometimes we'd hear other players in the distance fighting off security forces and decide to catch them when their guard was down, scooping up whatever goodies they were about to claim. And of course, we were on the receiving end of that ruthless equation and had to scramble as one of us was down by sudden gunfire from a rival team. These moments are when the PvP magic really shines and leaves you with stories to tell your friends. Like my group got entangled in a 9-player free-for-all and came out unscathed thanks to some well-timed smoke grenades. Or another time where both of my teammates were killed, but we came back to win it thanks to a clutch revive the other team didn't see coming. I'm very excited hearing all of this. But to me, this doesn't feel like the Fortnite moment. This feels like the Apex Legends moment for this genre. I think the Fortnite moment is probably never coming, because to say something is going to be like Fortnite is to say that it is going to be this gigantic culture-defining game, and I just don't think you're going to get there with this.
Yeah, I think
Apex Legends is like a step below that.
Yeah. I mean, Apex was super popular when it came out, right? Because I think people were kind of craving Titanfall and something different. And
it was definitely popular, but like Fortnite is a level of popularity we've almost never seen with a game.
Right. I mean,
and I think having the predefined classes and the predefined kits is a lot of what made Apex what it was. So I think this kind of takes like the best of that and like, I don't know, PUBG, and kind of throws them together in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, I think the class-based stuff is probably, if people are going to be turned off by this, aside from it being an extraction shooter, like it's going to be the class-based stuff, I think. Because a lot of like normal, regular Joes who kind of just want to come home and shoot stuff at night when they after work or whatever and don't really pay attention to anything, if they see this and they think it looks cool and they, you know, the class-based thing is sometimes I think that makes it a little bit too intimidating for people who aren't like hardcore, I guess you would say, or sweaty or whatever you want to say these days.
Sure.
But I also think that's what's going to make this unique, and like the team builds of like the 3-man teams of like, you know, how do you, what's the meta build? What's the meta class? Like what's the meta class best team to go in, and what nodes do you use with each class? I think that's going to be really interesting to see play out, honestly.
Yeah, it's funny. I went from like the class-based thing being like one of the things I was least excited about to the thing I'm probably the most hyped about when it comes to the gameplay. Yeah. I actually think it's great to not have to sit there and like grind out classes and always play to it. They have said that the meta is going to reset like every so often, like every season. They want a new meta to be there. They're going to wipe all your gear. I think that keeps it fresh so that you never feel like you're behind anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty excited. What I am worried about is that future runners are going to be put behind paid updates.
Oh, yeah.
Just like Apex. And that's almost a virtual guarantee that it's going to happen.
Yeah, but I think in Apex, if you pay for the character, it comes with the battle pass. I'm not mistaken.
I'm actually not sure how it works in Apex. I played
never
it a
spent a
lot
cent
the
yet.
first season or two, and then I fell off. I never went back to it.
Yeah, I never spent a cent. The only cosmetics I have are the Xbox Game Pass perks ones that they had at the very beginning.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
No, that's about it.
I think wiping your gear's a little strange, but also like I'm gonna hold judgment until I see how it like really works.
I liked the explanation they gave us on it, and it's because they want to be able to reset the meta at the beginning of each season so that you're not just clutching the same gun over and over and over again.
Well,
and
there's also
that.
a set. There's also like a set slate of guns, right? Like that's the whole point, and then you upgrade the guns with the nodes.
Yes and no, but I mean, you can pick up new guns out in the wild. Like that's the whole thing. Like you have starter kits that you have, or you can be sponsored by one of the corpos in the game. But the whole point is to go get the good loot out there in the world and then start upgrading it. So when I think about it that way, that really pumps me up, honestly. So I'm very interested. I cannot remember the last time I was this excited to play a beta.
Yeah.
Or an alpha, really. Like, if I have to think back to the last time I was this excited to play an alpha, it might have been the Destiny alpha.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
You think there's going to be you think, like, the way you, like, go purchase bounties and upgrade stuff, you think there's a social space, or you think you just do that through menus?
I think there's a social space.
Yeah, I think if it's team-based,
you have to be able to find other runners to go with.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's going to be matchmaking, but they've said you have the option to go in with a team, with a duo, or by yourself. So I cannot wait to watch streamers do this solo. I shan't be doing that, but I can't wait to watch them do it. I think that's going to be absolutely fascinating. I'm very in on Marathon now, which is not something I thought I was going to say last week.
Yeah, I'm excited for this alpha, right? I mean, we both will probably be in it at some point, right? Like I'm excited. I'm excited to play a new shooter from Bungie that's not grinding for weapons in Destiny. Not that I'm like opposed to the Destiny formula. Obviously, we've been doing this for 240 episodes or whatever, but like I'm ready to see what else Bungie can do, because it's been a long time since they've done anything different.
I do want to point out something in Travis's article, right along the lines of what we were just talking about. The downside of marathons, the victors go, the spoils reward system is in a pretty short amount of time. Those with skill will enter fresh matches with gear that easily outmatches less skilled players, making them even less likely to be able to pull off a victory. Bungie's gone out of its way to try and make it so a poorly geared squad still stands a chance against those with better loot if they play well, and you can always simply employ the strategy of avoiding other players until you've got a few extractions and decent loot under your belt. But even so, it seems like it can get pretty demoralizing in short order if you run into bad luck and start to feel like you'll never catch a break. That won't be the case for everyone, and I wonder how the big chunk of players who will simply run into a brick wall in their first few hours, log off, and never return will be. At least in Escape from Tarkov, you've got your Kappa case to hold your most valuable items and protect them from being lost in the battlefield. Marathon has none of those safety measures, instead opting for a system where you're given a sort of pity loadout called a sponsored package, which sets you up with basic gear after you've been quite literally bled dry. To be clear, it might very well be a good thing that Marathon seemingly refuses to compromise on its dedication to ensuring each match has real, keenly felt stakes, even if it turns some folks off from it. But they definitely risk a situation where it feels like the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer, to the detriment of those who are on the unfortunate side of that brutal equation. Time will tell before we know how that will shake out, but in my short time with it, I already felt a bit of friction emanating from those on the server who kept dying repeatedly and felt like they were getting outclassed by those with quality loadouts. We did hear a funny story that Jeff Keighley basically could not get a clear at all, and finally the developers had to take him through so he could get a clear. I am one of those who will probably get pretty frustrated if I'm not getting some quality extractions in my first like 5 to 10 hours.
Sure.
Which is why I'm so excited for an alpha and beta, because if I'm not enjoying it in the alpha and beta, I'm not gonna purchase it at launch. I'm gonna let it sit there, and maybe I'll come in after some changes. I do think they're gonna have to do something like the Kappa case at some point. At some point, they're gonna have to do it.
Yeah, I bet they want to see how this first season goes.
I'm sure too.
Or
But if
at
I'm
least
Bungie, I'm already having that ready to deploy on the back end if there's a problem.
I'm sure it's already there.
Yeah,
Right?
I'm
Like
not entirely sure, judging by how Bungie has been these last couple of years. Something else that's pointed out, Marathon's ongoing meta progression system, which I found surprisingly engaging in my time with it. Your loot is probably destined to be stripped off your still warm corpse and stuffed into an opponent's backpack. You can at least comfort yourself in the various perk trees and ongoing quests you find in the menus between rounds of play. You might not have made it back alive from your most recent escapade, or maybe you were able to loot some chests from a specific part of the map before you went cold. In that case, you can still make your way through the faction quest lines and upgrade systems, which include unlock bits of story and improve reputation with each of the 3 groups who have taken an interest in your progress. Lets you buy slightly better gear from the vendor. There is a question of whether Bungie will add enough content at a fast enough pace. That's one of my concerns too, I think, judging by how seasons in Destiny have largely gone.
I feel like they have to add it like and just by the like sheer low amount of maps. I feel like they have to release one a season, right? Like that would be like a minimum,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, you can't pull Destiny and not put a map out for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Unless they do something interesting within the maps themselves, like the way that Fortnite changes locations, or Apex kind of like blows up a location and adds, I don't know, dinosaurs to the other location.
They're going to have to do it. They're going to have to.
So you're going to have to keep iterating on the same maps and adding new ones, in my opinion.
I think it's also good that it's not just one map.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they already have 4 maps pretty much ready to go is really, really, really reassuring.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So I'm optimistic, man. I don't think that this is like the greatest thing I've ever seen, but I think that this is still pretty exciting. They did a lot towards getting me on board. The last thing I want to say on this, and I've seen a lot of people get really upset about this, Marathon does not have proximity chat.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which I'm like, kind of okay with that. Joe Ziegler's direct quote says, "I think the challenge is how to make sure we're creating a safe environment for players inside that space. And I don't think anyone has a good solution to that just yet." I totally agree. This is a genre that is known for sweaty assholes.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you also have the Bungie reputation. So the internet's just becoming more and more of a toxic place. I'm okay with hearing that.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me.
So
does not bother me.
Looking to see what else we've got. I think that's about it. I'm again just really, really happy with this.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. I think mechanically it's going to be great, right? Because it's Bungie, and I think mechanically their shooters are always great. I'm more interested about the things on the edges, right? Like how do they keep it updated? How do they keep weapons feeling fresh if there's a set number of them and a set, kind of. So that's my thing.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
I think also limiting the amount of players on the map is really exciting for me.
Yeah, what is it, like 18, I think?
So each map, it varies. So Perimeter can support 5 teams of 3. Dire Marsh, which is the one we predominantly saw in the footage. 6 teams of 3. Outpost, which is described as a meat grinder map, supports 3 to 4 teams of 3. And then the UESC Marathon is considered the hardest map. All interior play, no player numbers. I imagine that's the one. I don't remember exactly. Bungie claims that Marathon will eventually get more runners, weapons, consumables, implants, cores, and zones in future seasons. So yeah, I mean, you have to. You have to.
Yeah, you have
When
to.
you see a game that is getting support, like for example, Marvel Rivals is getting. Since launch, Marvel Rivals has had 3 new maps and 5 new heroes, and it launched in December. It has had plenty of events with skins that are free to earn, plenty of earnable credits in game. I feel like that is a decent baseline for the cadence that you should be adding content. They are I'm not saying you need a new runner every single month, but you probably need to have a new one each season. If your seasons are going to be 3 or 4 months long, you probably need to have a new runner each season. I don't think that's a stretch to ask for.
I think a new runner and a new map.
I don't think a new map is going to be real quickly. Your player base is just going to be like fizzled out. It's going to be that it's the same problem they ran into with when they started taking planets and activities and raids and stuff out of D2. It fractures the population too much. But I think that you can get into a rotation where, hey, this season, these are going to be the maps we have in rotation. And when they say they're adding zones, I take that to mean they're going to add on to existing maps. You can always do like seasonal zones too. Like there's plenty you can do here. I'm interested enough to want to play it and probably buy it at launch, honestly.
Yeah.
So
I mean, again, it's all about what this alpha is going to provide, right? Like, I mean,
sure.
I want to know what it's going to do, and if it's worth it.
One thing I will say is it feels like this is the end of Destiny PvP, and that probably is for the best.
Yeah, I think in terms of like,
I don't know if it's the end, I guess I should say, but I think this almost gives you clearance to like really have a team dive into PvP. I don't think you can remove Crucible for any stretch of time, but I think this gives you the ability to like focus on that because like a lot of that population will be playing Marathon instead, and let you just like go head down on that and like maybe Gambit. So any other final thoughts before we jump into a little bit of TWAB news?
No, I think it looks cool. I'm very excited to see how it plays, and if the runners feel different enough, or just I'm excited.
You know what, Corey? I agree, my friend.
One question to you though.
Hit me.
Let's say Marathon is a huge hit. What does that do to something like Overwatch? I mean, like, not that Marvel Rivals hasn't already like punctured its lung.
I mean, I think it makes you go back to the drawing board on stuff. Anything that breeds competition is good.
Yeah.
And in order to breed competition, things have to be good. Like PUBG was the original battle royale, right? And or at least like the first one that like really took off, and then everyone wanted to copy it, but it really wasn't until Fortnite did battle royale that everyone was like, oh my god, like those two were like the OGs, right? And then other people start taking off. Apex Legends comes out a couple years later, and Apex is big, and then Warzone comes out right as COVID is hitting. Warzone gets released, and like kind of outside of those 4 though, like no other battle royale really took off.
Right.
I say outside of those 4. They're 4 of the most popular games on the planet, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like the rush of console FPS games we saw in the aftermath of Halo and Halo 2. Just most of them weren't good.
Yeah.
It really took until Call of Duty 4 to get something on consoles that even competed with them.
Yeah.
And I mean, it competed in the best possible way, but
that made Halo better.
It made Halo better. Yeah.
Like adding the gun leveling system and
I would argue that Call of Duty coming to consoles made Battlefield better.
Yeah.
Battlefield was forced to innovate and this and that. And like we talk all the time about how Call of Duty feels like it's become really stagnant. And that's because there's just nothing competing with it. And it just dominates the space so much. So I'm interested to see if this is going to be the next thing that a lot of people want to chase.
Yeah.
As an extraction shooter, because I can't believe I'm going to say that there's one existing franchise I would actually really love to see as an extraction shooter.
What would that be?
Halo.
That would be interesting if you did it with like an ODST style thing, or like maybe like a new round of
I think it would be really cool to play as elite mercenaries in it.
Yeah.
Because there's different elite factions and whatnot that you could have.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I think that would be really cool, and drop them onto a Halo ring. You can have like different types of enemies though. Like you can fight the Banished, you can fight Separatists, you can like fight the Flood
ships, or
derelict ships. Like there's a lot of shit you could do with that franchise. But I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole if I keep on this train of thought. I'm looking to see if there's anything else we really need to talk about.
Don't get Josh started on Halo, everybody.
Do not get me started on Halo. It'll be really rough. There really wasn't anything last week that we missed. There's one thing this week that I did want to address, though. Regarding the weapons that some of us managed to get early from Ride of the Nine. They previously said we were going to get to keep these weapons just with updated perks. They have now walked that back. While we were able to patch out the activities quickly, the weapons remained. We had intentions of updating these weapons at release, but hit a few snags along the way. While we initially noted rewards earned would be retained, they will need to be removed. We know this can sting for those who were able to get in and get some early goodies. We want to turn this into a small celebration for everyone. On May 6th, all players will be granted 1,500 currency, which can be exchanged with the emissary for rewards. This should be equivalent to about 2 dungeon runs worth of weapon drops. Spend them all on day one or hold them until you're good and ready. I actually really like this. I wish I got to keep my weapons.
It's a good
because I got 2 weapons I really wanted.
Yeah.
with new perks on them, but I'm okay with this.
I think it's a good compromise, especially because
it's a make good gesture, and I'm fine with it.
Yeah, especially because they
2 dungeon runs full of weapons, though. That's like 6 weapons.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. It makes me wonder how often we're going to earn this currency too, but I'm excited. I think that's good for everyone. Cool. And then next week, there's going to be a weekly featured Nightfall as the Sunless Cell. For the first time ever, they're going to drop double palindromes, and there's also going to be a special emblem that you can only get next week if you do the Sunless Cell between the 22nd and the 29th.
Ooh.
Called Break Free. So, interested to do that. And I think that's all we have in 2 weeks of Schwabs because we've covered so much of it already.
Yeah.
We did have a question tonight I wanted to get to. Jiggly Panda wrote in with 2 questions. Any predictions for the new DLC coming out? We talked about that a little bit. We'll have more predictions next episode because it'll be right before the DLC announcement. Do you ever think we'll get Nathan Fillion back as Cade 6, whether it's in the game or some kind of show? And do you think Gina Torres would come back as well? Gina Torres is gone. I hate to tell you that.
Yeah.
She's fucking done.
Yeah.
She's done. Nathan Fillion, though, it feels like we're done with Cade.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can keep pulling on that thread because it does feel like he was brought back, and we said that the deal was likely made before Lance Reddick's tragic passing, but it really feels like he was only back in as big of a role as he was because Lance was gone. That being so, I mean, I don't think you're gonna. You might get it. They've already recast him with Nolan North once, and it feels like kind of dickish to keep bouncing back and forth.
Yeah, I think Cade's done unless they do like audio logs between him and Micah 10.
Audio logs, or if you do an anime.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be the only way that I would do it.
And at that point, I bet they would record those voice lines at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, we know you're going to be a part of this series. We need you to record these lines too, just so we have some stuff to fill in.
The thing about Nathan Fillion is he's a busy fucking guy.
Yeah, the rookie, man.
But he was so excited to come back.
Yeah, I mean, he was upset when he had to leave. I mean, he got that show
Yeah,
deal, right?
he was not happy about having to leave, but this dude is he is incredibly busy.
Yeah.
He not only is he still on the rookie, obviously, he is also Guy Gardner, the Green Lantern,
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
in both the upcoming Superman movie and the HBO series Lanterns. He is one of the three Lanterns featured in that show, along with Aaron Pierre and Kyle Chandler.
Yeah. Kyle Chandler, that's a pull.
Dude, I was so excited. Honestly, that casting made me happier than anything. I fucking love Kyle Chandler.
I mean, I don't disagree. I do too. It just like it's not what I expected.
It was one of those that I was like, man, I'd really love if this happened, but I didn't think it would actually happen. I've been trying to fan cast him in things for years. Truly one of our most underappreciated working actors. I love him.
Friday Night Lights,
Friday Night Lights, one of the great network shows of the 2000s.
Texas Forever.
God, that the Emmy he won for the final episode is it's like the equivalent of the Dirk Nowitzki NBA title. They both happened in the same year.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great. Him and Connie Britton are actual national treasures.
Yeah.
Love seeing that though. He Nathan Fillion he's been busy. He's honestly just been busy. He does the rookie and whatnot, but beyond that, he's just always seems to be doing something.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's good though. I mean, if you're working.
Oh, it's very good. I mean, it's funny because like a lot of us knew him from Firefly and Serenity. Then he ends up on Castle for like 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
Then he ends up doing this. He's done a ton of voice work. I think a lot of people forget that he was Buck in Halo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, he came back to be Buck in 5, right?
Halo 5. Yep.
Sorry, Nathan Fillion.
He did the voice. They used his likeness, and he did the mocap for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was ecstatic to be asked to come back too.
Yeah.
He loves it. I'm so happy for him that he's doing stuff that he likes. If you've never listened to the audiobook of World War Z, he's part of that too. But yeah, just great guy. Really, really happy that he's getting as much work as he is. So,
yep.
He could return. I just don't think he is. Gina Torres she's gone.
I think if you bring Cade back now after that ending, you're making a big mistake.
That's so.
In like a physical character form.
I was gonna say, like, if you put him in like an anime that takes place like before the events of like Destiny 1 or something, I'd be okay with it.
Yeah, no, I meant just like in the game now. Where the game stands now, I think you would be making a big mistake. Yeah, I mean, exploring animated shows or whatever. Bring him back.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think where the game stands now and that ending for Cade and everything, if you brought him back, it's almost be like the Robert Downey Jr. back. It's Marvel almost.
Yeah, I think it would be a huge mistake to bring him back. So, and that's not saying that does not mean that we don't love Nathan Fillion. It's because we love him so much.
Yeah. Look, he's always going to be Cade, right? Like, I don't know. I don't know if I have much else to say that I haven't already said.
No, there really isn't much left to say, but it's nice to know that he loves this and Halo so much that it's basically like, yeah, if Bungie worked on something, like, I just want to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if he's gonna have a character that he'll voice in Marathon at some point.
I bet he does. I bet
just to like keep the trend going.
Yeah, I mean, I bet there's some sort of weird comic relief character in here, and I bet Nathan Fillion voices something somewhere in this game down the line. Maybe not at launch, but
yeah, I would love for them to keep this a secret until,
like they should have done with Cade.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I still think about that often. How, like, just at the end of the last, like right before the final shape, if you would have kept that cutscene a secret, and that's how you introduced him coming back as Cade. Oh my gosh.
They needed. I still maintain that they were going to keep that a secret, but they knew they needed something. One, after Lightfall was bad, and two, after Lance Reddick's passing, they needed something.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's very true. But
I think they needed something. But you could have done the entire marketing campaign for the Final Shape without Cade in it. But I think because Cade was there, it was that much more special.
Yeah.
I complain about it a lot, but it's the same conundrum we had with Forsaken. You had to show the hook to get people interested. So now, because dude, we spent a whole year theorizing, like, why does Cade look the way he is and blah, blah, blah. You know, he's not really back. Like, oh, he's just a manifestation of the light and this and that, which was true to an extent. But man, that final cutscene conversation with just the Guardian and Cade, that's part of the argument I make for why I really wish the Final Shape was the end. That moment in particular is so fucking powerful to people who have played since day one of D1. That was the only Vanguard member they ever really fleshed out. It wasn't until well after they killed Cade off that they finally started characterizing Ikora and Zavala. Yeah, I remember when they did it, we were doing this very show in Season of the Haunted when we finally got Zavala stories, and we were like, oh my god, it's about time. It's about fucking time.
Yeah.
And that was around, what, episode 100, roughly?
Something like that.
So, like, yeah, we built a huge bond, and then, like, thank God the fan base gravitated so hard to Lance Reddick at that point. Like, yeah, those who knew, you knew already with Lance, but yeah, he'd had his moments. Like the Red War campaign, I think is really great for him in terms of a voice acting showcase. But you know, they got him and Ikora got kind of sidelined, hence why Gina Torres got recast. And then to see the emphasis they put on Zavala so much in those years made Lance's passing hurt so much more. And then knowing that you didn't have Nathan anymore, it was a no-brainer to bring him back. And the journey would not have felt the same in the Final Shape without Cade. Because it really is like the Guardian and Cade. It really is a road trip with them and between them and Ghost in a lot of ways.
And then you got that really cool passing of the torch moment with Crow, and
you got one of the most special moments. You got so many of the most special moments in the franchise history with character building moments. Like the first interaction between them. The final cutscene of Wish will always live rent free in my head.
Right.
Of them confronting each other.
Yeah, I mean the iconic switch of the Forsaken imagery of Crow staring down the barrel at Cade on the ground, you know, switching spots, and you know, also like matching that up with Zavala helping Crow off the ground when his mask gets, you know, when Crow saves Zavala from the sniper. Like
one of the most again, we talk about the power of seasonal storytelling, and this way I'm so mad that these moments aren't in the game anymore. That is such a powerful moment in the franchise. It's so iconic that it shows up in so many trailers, and you can't experience it in game, even in a theater. So, yeah, that God, just what a special. Now I just want to go play the Final Shape campaign again, man.
I thought about it.
I think about Mara showing up and beaming everybody out. How Cade stays to save Crow when Crow falls. Like the golden gun firing off. We saw that in the trailer. We're like, I remember the shot we saw from above, and we didn't know what context it was taking in of him and Cade back to back shooting off their Ace of Spades at the same time. And it's like, oh my God, this is like one of the coolest shots we've ever seen. And then you come to find out that it's in the Still Hunt quest right before you go back to the sex tent. It's great. It's great, man. It's so good. You have all the stuff. You have the connections with Micah 10, which like that had been theorized ever since Your Friend Micah. Like, it's such a good ending, and I think this is why I'm so scared about going into something about the 9 now. We just had such a and we've had a full year to sit on it. It's the best thing that they've done since Halo 3.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even close for me. Like, I love Witch Queen. I love Forsaken. I love the Taken King. They're S tier. Final Shape is double S. Like, I'm making a new tier. It's double S. It's that good.
Yeah, it's really good.
And it's a wide gap between those four and everything else we've ever gotten.
Yeah. I thought about going through it with my Warlock because I haven't gone through it with my Warlock yet.
I would really, 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 really love to be able to go back and play the Destiny 2 story from the beginning, and I can't.
Yeah.
And I will forever be upset about it.
You think they're ever going to add it in at all? Ever?
I don't think they can. There was something in one of the legal filings that they don't even have access to it on their servers anymore.
Jeez.
Yeah, they had to actually enter BIF videos in as evidence in a lawsuit. It's wild. But Corey, we're going to sit here and just wax poetic for the rest of this for the rest of the night if we don't get out of here.
I know. I'm just I feel like they're pulling us back in. They do this every.
It's the Bungie hype cycle. I was talking about this with a friend, and it's just like, yeah, this happens all the time. We talked about it on this show. Like, the final season always is a banger leading into the expansion, and then you hope the expansion is good. If you're gonna tackle the 9, that is really ambitious, but that sure as hell is one way to start the next story arc.
I know.
And they said they want it to be a shorter story arc. If the next 2 to 3 years of Destiny storytelling, which I think will be the final 2 to 3 years of storytelling, is gonna focus on the 9, I'm here for it.
Yeah, you can't just do it in one expansion. You gotta expand it out.
You can't. We've made enemies of Savathûn. That's got to show up at some point. Maya is still out there with the Echo.
Yeah,
it does feel like I don't feel like I got any closure out of the episodes this year. And
well, they're just setting up new story threads, I feel like.
Yeah, but they build it as, this is gonna answer so many questions and plot threads about the Light and Dark saga. No, I feel like that was the missions we got after the campaign in the Final Shape with Keitel and Mithrax. Like, those missions were awesome. Give me more of that shit.
Mm-hmm.
I think the missions in Heresy are cool, but it abruptly ends so quickly.
Right.
It ends with Savathûn yelling at you from the body of a worm in Eris's apartment, and that's the end. That's the end. That's literally the final thing that happens. It's so dumb.
I know we need to get out of here, but I have one question for you about seasonal storytelling.
Yeah.
Do you feel like they're constrained by the way seasons are structured with the story?
I feel like they were constrained by the way seasons used to be. I think they had so much more freedom with episodes that they didn't realize, and they saw the reaction to Echoes, and it was so bad. And to be clear, Echoes was done very poorly.
Mm-hmm.
It was only saved by the Encore mission, which is entirely too long, and really only by the Maya Sunder echelons at the very end of the mission each week. That they pulled the plug on it so quickly. And it's a shame, because I can't believe I'm going to say this. It's kind of a shame. If Heresy is the blueprint for what these 6-month seasons can be like in terms of an impactful storyline, in terms of stakes, and in terms of activities and reasons to go replay things, ways to modify your game. We have mods that break at the end of the season that can only be used on this season's guns. There's the tome. Being able to charge up the tome is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Giving you extra abilities within your artifact. If that is the kind of stuff we can expect going forward with seasons or with these Into the Light style updates, you have cracked the code. You have finally cracked it. Mm-hmm. It just took you 6 years to get there. Because seasons started out really good, and then they were like, oh, they like this, we're going to keep doing it and not try to iterate on it. This Heresy feels like the fulfillment of the promise Luke Smith made us before Witch Queen came out, or right after Witch Queen, where he's like, yeah, we're gonna improve on seasons and this and that. Wish felt like the first real Wish and Witch kind of felt like the first real attempt at that. But they were still constrained by that old seasonal structure. I feel like Heresy, they had so much freedom with how they were going to do it. And like, this is how shit should be. If it's going to be around for like 6 to 12 months, this is what it needs to be. It needs to be something that if you are not playing, you want to go play it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Nether has done that. I think Court of Blades, by the way, significantly better than fucking Contest of Elders was. It's not even a question. Significantly better in terms of bringing back an old beloved activity. Because it brought it back and then expanded on it.
Yeah.
I Nether has been really cool. I like Sunless Cell being back, even if it's not like the greatest thing ever. I like Sunless Cell being back. Do you realize they continue to cook on these exotic missions, but it feels like the only one out of these 3 episodes that I'm like, yeah, if that comes up in the rotator, I'd 100% go play that mission again.
Yeah.
I love how they've done the catalysts. The catalysts are being rewarded for those who are willing to grind out and play this game in a long season. You know? So I don't know. I think that they finally cracked it, but just like 2-3 years too late.
Right.
If they had this epiphany like leading into Lightfall, I think we'd feel way different.
Yeah.
That would have made those seasons feel way different. Imagine if you had the stakes of something like Heresy with Season of Defiance.
Yeah.
Or Season of the Deep. Like they tried some different things that year. I'll be honest. Deep dives, that was a totally different type of activity. I like that. It was roguelike.
Yeah. It was, I mean, they tried some, like, I give them a lot of credit for trying different things.
Even if it was awesome as an activity. It's just they never quite got out of this activity gets really boring to play after you've done it about 20 times. And I think with episodes and how they've sporadically released the activities, it's made it feel a little bit better, at least in Heresy. What they are going to have to get rid of eventually is the time gating. The time gating is really frustrating. But you also want to keep juicing those numbers. But if you can space it out to where like you've got a new activity or new something coming out every couple weeks, which really feels like what they're aiming for, whether it's like something like the Dawning or that those types of seasonal activities, you're into the light style stuff, your Pantheons, seasonal activities, the Apollo and Behemoth dropping, it really feels like we're gonna have Destiny content almost every month. Just on a smaller scale. And so like, oh, you can pop in and play that content for a week or two and then be like, I'm going back to my other games because there's so much other shit to play right now.
Right. And if you can, like, especially like if your other game, if your other game is Marathon, right? Like,
yeah,
you won't be bothered by the PvP stuff in Destiny because you'll be playing, and then you'll come back to Destiny when you want.
One thing that I didn't say during the Marathon bit that I really wish I would have focused on, why I really love that it's a priced title, that makes it so much better for cheating. Infinitely better because you have to pay for the game. You do not have that restriction on anything outside of trials right now for Destiny. And it's really, really frustrating.
Yeah.
Like comp is not locked behind that.
Right.
Regular PvP is not locked behind that. Only trials is, and it still is very prevalent in trials.
Right.
So good stuff, man. I'm excited.
Good stuff. I'm excited. A lot of cool stuff coming up, it seems. May 6th. That's the Thursday. That's the Thursday of the Tuesday of that show. We have Tower Casuals that week, right? Yeah. I think if I'm looking at the calendar correctly.
Which week?
Of the 6th of the showcase for.
So the way that it'll go, no, we will have a Tower Casuals the week before.
Okay.
May 1st will be the next time that we do a show, but we will do a recap on that Tuesday.
Yeah,
there will be a showcase recap that day for sure.
Yeah,
but that is an Xbox Casuals week, and it's funny because 4 weeks later the inverse is going to happen with the Xbox Showcase.
Right.
So I was looking at that earlier, and I was just like, I think that's just cosmically hilarious. So
always happens that way, though.
We haven't had it like this in a little while. Really, it's us switching to every other week that's doing it now. But yeah, it's going to be a busy couple weeks, and I'm excited. I'm ready.
Yep, I'm ready too. But Josh, it's time to get out of here.
It is time to get out of here.
I want to know what everybody thinks about Marathon. So let us know. Join the Discord.. Tell us. I'm genuinely interested on what. Destiny players specifically think of this. So everybody out there, thank you so much for watching and or listening to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. You can find us every other Friday on your podcast service of choice. Check out Xbox Casuals and Xbox Podcast by both of us. You can check us both out on the Boss Rush podcast. Also, Josh makes frequent appearances there from time to time and talk about things.
Talking a lot of Nintendo these days.
Yeah, I think the next couple episodes we're going to stay away from that though. Just because there is a lot of it, and we already have a Nintendo show that kind of covers it. So,
it's my opportunity to come talk Nintendo stuff, though.
Sure. I mean, you can come on Pal Block anytime you want, Josh.
I don't think Nintendo fans want to hear the things I have to say. They're not positive. It's me. I am the person who's the subject of the Boss Rush banters lately.
Jeez.
I have felt directly targeted at least twice this week.
Jeez. On that note,
I love you, Stephanie.
I don't even remember where I was. Like, subscribe, share, rate, and review wherever you listen. Tell your friends. Thank you so much for watching and listening. And until next time, we love you. Goodbye. If you want to see how you can become a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/BossRushNetwork. The Patreon producers for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Sana Dierig, Francisco Santillan, Matthew Keel, and Christian S. Thanks for your continued support of the Boss Rush Network.